What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Ty behind the camera here with Ty Drives. Today we are checking out a very special car for you and some really neat options here. This is of course the 2021 Audi A5 Sportback with the 45 larger engine option and the Premium Plus trim level, with a whole bunch of special options added on, such as the black optic package, the S-Line interior package, and it also has a carbon fiber lip spoiler from the factory. So this car is really loaded up with a whole bunch of really neat options. In this video, I'm going to take you through the exterior. We're going to open the hood and see what it looks like under there and discuss the powertrains. Then we can also pop the hatch, check out the trunk area, and then move forward into the interior with the rear seats and ending up with the front seats. And you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video because we're going to be strapping this GoPro to my head and taking this car for a drive. But to start off on the front, we can go through our exterior features, starting on the headlamps. Of course, full LED units for even the premium base model, so the high and low beams on this car. We get a little bit of a different setup, even more LED functions, so the turn signals on this car and everything are all LED, as you can see. If we take a look down below, we see some elements of the black optic package, seeing the grille surround. We also have parking sensors that span the front bumper and a little bit of a larger sensor in the front for the automatic emergency braking and the adaptive cruise control. Again, we see more elements of the black optic package, all blacked out grille, and even blacked out Audi rings. You see right below we have one of 4 cameras on the outside of this car for the 360-degree camera system. And finally, the Quattro logo. Absolutely stunning paint color for this car. It's called District Green. I kind of wish the sun was out because this color actually, the metallic flake in this color is actually a bit of yellow, so it's really a cool color in the sun. 19-inch wheels specific to the black optic package, wrapped around 255/35 tires. Pretty neat wheel design too, pretty large rotors and calipers for the brakes. More blacked out trim with the S-Line badging. We move up top, we have an oversized sunroof, and you can also see the shark fin antenna. More blacked out elements going all the way around the windows. You have blind spot monitoring and LED turn signals on the mirrors. All 4 door handles have smart key entry pads, as you can see. Out back we have the same wheel and tire setup. And as you can see right here is the spot where you can see the Sportback shape. So you can see it kind of curves down just like a coupe, but it's also a hatchback, so you can fit more cargo in the back. The tail lamps are also fully LED with the dynamic turn signals, your LED brake lights, tail lights, all that good stuff. And you could see the optional carbon fiber spoiler on this car. It's about a $1,000 option, so not a lot of them have it. And you can take a look at the options list on this car really quick, because there are a plentiful amount of options on this car. More black on the outside surrounding the exhaust tips. And yes, as you can see, the exhaust surrounds, they're actually in there. So it's not a fake exhaust on this car. All blacked out emblems on this car too. Really neat packaging for this. I don't think I've ever seen an A5 Sportback package quite this special. There's also a trunk release and the rear view camera back here too. So what do you guys think of this car? Wow, what an optioned out car this thing is. Let me know in the comments what you think. So this A5 Sportback is called the 45, which means it has the more powerful inline-4 turbocharged engine. It produces 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. Pretty strong numbers for a car of this size. And in case you're wondering, there's also a more basic engine called the 40. And we just did a review on an A4 with that motor right before this video. So definitely check my channel if you want to see how that performs. But taking a look under the engine bay, very clean and organized under here. There's nothing crazy going on. Now this car is a mild hybrid, which means there's also a small electric motor that powers the interior functions of the car when you're at a stoplight. So it's kind of a more advanced start-stop system. And you can always tell a car that has it from these little rings around the alternator. But very clean engine bay. And you also have lots of sound deadening, and your hood release is right in the center. Standard on the A5 Sportback is a full powered liftgate. As you can see, with the addition of the liftgate, you get a lot of storage room in the back of this car. You can also extend that storage with folding down the rear seats. As you can see, they can split if you want at a 40-20-40 fashion. You also have two separate cargo shades, one down here and one that mounts to the liftgate. You can also remove them if you want. And you have storage extensions to either side with nets, 12-volt power outlet. You also have tie downs on either corner, or I should say on all four corners of the trunk, and LED illumination. We have all of the carpet floor mats and the winter floor mats back here. If we open up the rear, you can see that Audi gives you a spare tire for this car as well. You have more illumination up here and some options to close the trunk. So this button will close the trunk and lock the vehicle, and this one will just close the trunk. Moving on to the rear seats, as you can see, the A5 Sportback comes with frameless glass, just like the other A5s. Very nice use of materials in this car. And I'll point out a few things. This car has the S-Line interior package, which gives you this brushed aluminum trim. And also, nice microfiber inserts on the doors. Very nice materials. Everything is either soft touch, suede, aluminum, or leather. 19 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system on this car. Some storage down here. And take a look at the seats. Very nice pattern for the microfiber on the seats as well, on the insides. And as you can see, the latches up here to fold down the rear seats. Very comfortable seating position back here, and there's a good amount of space behind the front seat. Now I'm about 5'10", and I adjusted the seat to a normal driving position for myself. As you can see, plenty of room. You have a nice oversized sunroof. It's not quite panoramic, but it is a very good size. And you also have cutouts to either side so that you have plenty of headroom. I'd say I have at least 2 inches of headroom back here. You can fold down the center pass-through with this upper switch. And you can fold down the center console with a lower switch. Some storage in the center, and some cup holders that fold out. Also, if you power the vehicle on, you'll have a little LCD screen back here which you can adjust your own temperature in the back. You have some charging outlets as well. Now this does have 3 seat belts in the back, so technically it's a 5-seater, but you might have some difficulty with sitting someone in the center. It's doable, but I don't think they'll like it for very long. Pretty nice place to be back here though. You have LED lighting and grab handles and everything back here. Now take a listen to how solid the doors are, despite the fact that they have a frameless glass. Very solid. And the moment we've all been waiting for, let's check out the front cabin. Very similar in design on the door panel, just a few more buttons. We have individual child locks for the rear, power folding and heated mirrors, 2-person memory for the driver's seat, and a couple more speakers, trunk release over here, and a little bit of storage for a bottle or whatever you need. Left of the dash, you have an air vent, all of your lighting controls and gauge dimmer. Over here we have the release for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. We have these nice bright pedals, hood release off to the left, and a pretty large storage cubby. Now, in the A4s and A5s, this is actually where the owner's manual fits. So that just goes to show you how large that little cubby is in there. Very nice sport seats on this car too, with a little S logo right below the headrest. Very supportive seats and full powered with 4-way lumbar and thigh extensions. There's a little switch right where my hand is. You could slide them in and out. Traditional Audi key fob for the A5 Sportback. We have the unlock lock, trunk release, panic alarm, Audi rings on the front, and a nice little design on the rear. You have these 2 buttons to either side. Just pinch those buttons and the physical key will slide out in case you need it. Good place to put the key right there. I think they meant that little storage area before the key. Push button ignition down here. Just put your foot on the brake. Take a look at that steering wheel. Nice dimples on the steering wheel, just kind of like an RS Audi. Also on the shift knob as well. Nice functions to this steering wheel too. We got the little S logo on the bottom. Controls for the virtual cockpit up there. Heated steering wheel and more Bluetooth, telephone and radio controls. You have the volume on the slider. On the back and mounted to the steering wheel, we have paddle shifters. We'll try those out in our test drive. On the stalks over here, we have the turn signals, high beams, and the ability to quick shut off the lane keeping assist. This car also has adaptive cruise control, as I mentioned earlier, and that's the stalk to control it. And we also have our wipers to the other side. Virtual cockpit up here, very good looking as always. We can click the view button right down here to get a larger or smaller view depending on what's in the center. And we could use the scroll wheel over here to get more information. Real-time and average consumption, short and long-term memory, energy consumption screen, and our driver's assistance. So when we turn on the lane keep assist, as you can see, the sort of lanes popped up, and when it detects lanes, it'll turn green to let you know that the system is active. And we also have a traffic signs function as well. If we use the arrow keys, we can go back and forth between seeing the radio screen, phone, and the navigation. And as you can see, the Google Maps is activated. Really pretty neat site there with the Google Maps. Pretty cool. And again, at any time, you could just press the view button and we'll get the gauges a bit bigger. You can also set destinations for the navigation through the screen here using your voice commands, and you can also change radio stations, the source, and all that good stuff. You have the fuel gauge in the center, tach, and the speedometer over there too. So pretty cool. screen there, just touching on a few things of the virtual cockpit. You know, trust me, we could take probably a good hour explaining all of the functions of it, but just a quick overview. Upper dash is nice. We have a few speakers up there. And that brings me to the center infotainment screen. So we'll just go through a few quick functions of this, as well as the, or I should say, just like the virtual cockpit. So we'll go quickly through it. It's kind of your home screen. You can also swipe over there to see a few different quadrants, so what's going on with your radio, telephone, and navigation. And you can also move these different widgets around. And if you want your, you know, say notes over here or something like that, you can also switch one of these segments out for that. We have our radio screen over here, you know, all of your different stations in the center and your source up top. Quick shortcuts on the side, media and phone screen, and we also have our navigation. And you can go up here to enter your destination. We have phone apps, so this car has the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course. We also have our vehicle screen. We have lighting and visibility up here. You can adjust the gauge brightness over here as well as over there below the speedometer. We have our basic system settings. Sound settings for the Bang & Olufsen speakers. Adjust the subwoofer independently. Surround sound level, 3D effect. Really pretty and advanced sound system for, I think they only charge you $950 for the sound system. It is pretty good. And you also have a few different various things on the last page. In the center of the climate vents, we have the hazards button. And we also have our climate control. Very simple, yet very good looking climate controls here. We have heated seats to either side, defrosters on this side, recirculating and off on that side. Our temperatures in the center, and then where we want the air to blow. As you can see, that changes with the click of the button. AC controls the fan speeds in the center. And then if we want it to sync all of the temperatures, a 3-zone, or we can also control the rear climate as well from up here. So obviously that makes it a 3-zone climate control in this car. Small array of buttons down below, notably our drive select mode. So we have 4 different modes: comfort, automatic, dynamic, and individual. We can customize a few different things in individual. Pretty neat that you could do that. Auto start stop, traction control, both on and off switches there. And we could also bring up our parking sensors and parking camera at the click of that button. Down below we have a couple connections, a USB and a 12-volt power outlet. A couple of cup holders and just a sort of any use storage tray. 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Whether or not you get the 40 or 45 powertrain, you'll have this dual clutch transmission. Dual clutches tend to have this jerky feel to them, but however, when they updated this car, I believe in 2020 or 21, I believe, they have completely refined this transmission, and it's not herky-jerky at all like any other dual clutch that I've felt. You can go down into drive. We also have a sport mode, which you can shift down here or on the paddle shifters, and all the way up is for reverse. Premium Plus actually gives you a top-down view camera, so that's a pretty good feature on the mid-level trim for this car. Rear view camera is front and center with the adjustable guidance lines, and you have the top-down on the side. And you have different views that you could see too. Kind of have a wide-angle front view, a normal front view, a bigger top-down rear, wide-angle rear, and then the front and rear wheels. So pretty configurable camera on this car. So then we also have the P right there for park, electronic parking brake. We also have the volume and skipping for the radio down here too. which is actually a really nice place to put it. You know, usually a lot of cars put it up here where the screen is. I actually find it to be pretty good right here because you tend to rest your arm on the armrest, and it's a lot closer to reach right here for the volume knob than way up here. Nice leather covered center console. You can extend it back and forth, and you can also height adjust it, and it locks into place for you. Once you lift it up, you see you have some storage. Most of it is taken up by the wireless charging pad, and then you also have a USB-C connection in there too. Frameless auto-dimming rear view mirror, touch LED lights in here. And you also have various sunroof, sunshade controls, SOS, you know, various kind of breakdown controls, interior lighting, and all that good stuff. Completely black headliner, which looks very good on this car. And you have the sunshade that blocks, I'd say, a good 80% of the light. Still lets a little bit through, as you can see, but it's actually a power shade. Very nice to let some light in, and it's a little bit oversized, like I said earlier. So you have separate controls. This one's for the sunshade, and this one is to open and close the roof. One more thing I wanted to point out is the sun visors. So once you open them, you have the mirror and light, and then you can also extend them to the side to block sun over there. But that's enough of the features of this car. Hope you got a good overview of that. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Alrighty, driving the A5 Sportback. So, a little overview of what we're gonna do in this drive. We're gonna take it down the hill. It's a good spot to test the turning circle. So we'll see how good that performs. Then we'll get it up to a little bit higher speeds, you know, 45, 50 miles an hour. And we'll see what it's like at that rate of speed. And finally, we'll get it out onto a back road. We'll see how the suspension handles bumps and corners. And we'll kind of alternate between the auto driving mode and dynamic. So, and I'll let you know when we switch. We're gonna begin the drive in auto, which basically switches between a comfort and dynamic mode depending on the way you're driving. So it kind of adapts to the way that you're hitting the pedal, the way that you're steering and whatnot. So really good turning circle on this car too. This car also has some sort of engine noise enhancement when you put it into dynamic mode or when you switch it on in the individual mode. So that's pretty cool, and we'll give that a test too when we drop it into dynamic mode. We'll see if we could turn the lane keep assist on. Now when you see the green turn on, that means the car has a good hold on the lane. So if you start drifting, it'll steer you back and it'll actually turn it red. Getting it up towards almost 55. Very quiet in here. It's also got a pretty decent steering feel in the automatic mode, automatic driving mode that is. It's on the softer side, definitely. But very comfortable steering wheel. I like the dimples in the steering wheel. I guess you could say they're dimples or perforations. But to me, a selling point on the car is a comfortable steering wheel at your 9 and 3 grips, because that's where I hold the steering wheel when I drive. Okay, so what we could do at this point is we'll drop it down into dynamic. Also put it in manual mode. We'll see how the paddle shifters react. We'll get it up to 25 and see how fast we can get up to 60. So that was a pretty fast run to 60. car has no problem with power, and it's a very smooth and linear power delivery. It's not like snap you back in your seat. You kind of have to watch the speedometer because it's a very gradual power, but the power is without a doubt there. And we're working with just a little over 260 horsepower. That's a good amount for this car. You know, the steering feel doesn't change all that much when you put it into dynamic mode. It weightens up ever so slightly. A slight amount of body roll when you put it into a corner. However, this is a very comfortable riding car. Put it back into auto. See how it soaks up these bumps. Yeah, this is a very comfortable ride. You know, you want a little bit more sporty, you can either choose between the S5 or the RS5. However, this doesn't have a problem with delivering power. It really is a pretty quick car. Now get into the throttle a little bit and just pay attention to how quiet the engine got, because it's not in, maybe I won't get on it, but the engine is definitely a little bit louder. I'm not quite sure how the noise is piped in, if it's actual noise, or there's kind of like a speaker on the firewall, kind of like Volkswagen does it. But you definitely get a good amount more sound, engine sound, when you're in dynamic mode. And it's a pretty good sound. Now this section of the road coming up with the twisties is a pretty good alliteration of a Connecticut back road. Very bumpy and very twisty and windy, but it gives us a good chance to test out the suspension on this car, and it's doing a very, very nice job of soaking up the bumps. You know, are they still there? Of course, but this is a pretty rough road. Definitely more of a comfort suspension setup on this car. These sports seats really do a good job of keeping you in, especially with the suede on the seats too. It does a lot better job of letting you not slide around in the seats rather than leather does. But what the sports seats really gives you is a little bit more side support, and it also has like these kind of broader shoulder supports on the seats too, which is pretty cool. So a little bit about the mild hybrid setup on this car. What it basically is, it's a helper. It kind of takes the stress off of the starter on the car, and it kind of turns the engine without putting stress on the starter. So when you're rolling to a stop sign, it'll shut off while you're rolling, so it'll use less fuel. It's kind of a more advanced start-stop system. And again, when you take your foot off the brake, instead of using the starter, the small electric motor will actually turn the engine over, which is actually a really good idea. I'm not the hugest electric car fan, me being kind of an automotive purist. I really think that the mild hybrids and plug-in hybrids are kind of the way of the future, not so much the electric cars yet. I really like the idea of mild hybrids and plug-in hybrids. As you can can see with that acceleration, you see what I'm talking about with a little bit of a quieter acceleration when you're in automatic or comfort mode rather than the dynamic mode. So to sum up the A5 Sportback, I really do like this car. You don't have quite as much room in the back seats as say you would in an A4, but it's a great trade-off with the design of this car because it definitely looks a lot better than the A4, especially with all of these cool options on it. So supremely comfortable car. It's got plenty of power, tons of amenities. Even if you just get a basic car with the convenience package, you know, it comes with heated steering wheel, and just lots of goodies with this car. I believe it also comes with the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist if you just get the basic car with the convenience package. But the Premium Plus just kind of takes it up a level. You know, you have things like you couldn't get before on a Premium Plus, like the top-down view camera system, and that comes standard with the mid-level trim. So really nicely driving car, comfortable suspension, nice steering feel. I don't think this car would offend anybody in any way. It's just a great car to drive every day. And that's pretty much my wrap-up thoughts of this car. I definitely recommend it if you're in the market. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching, and make sure you hit that subscribe and like button to help us out here and stay with us for future reviews just like this one.